Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am Julen Larrucea, and today I'm going to show you how to install OpenStack in a single click. So it's very easy. You just have to run the graphical user interface of BOMSI and click it here. And that's pretty much it. Thank you very much.
And you got 10 minutes.
Oh, all right. I will use the remaining time then for explaining how it works. So I already introduced BOMSI in the last summit in Tokyo. BOMSI stands for Bash OpenStack Multinode Scripted Installer. And it generates a customized ISO file with a custom boot menu from where we can choose which node we are going to install automatically. Something like you can see in the slide. And this makes it very suitable for either physical servers, physical hardware, by deploying it either with a pen drive or a CD, or even we can provision through network with Pixie. Or we can also use it for building local test environments. This is how it works. Well, the letters might be a little bit small, but so from the command line we can execute BOMSI just by calling BOMSI iso.sh, and then we can specify the name, a name for a virtual machine. This is going to generate a virtual machine with this name. If the name happens to contain a string with either controller or compute 1, 2, 3 or network, it will automatically select that option in the ISO file, so it will go through directly, and it will this will recompile the ISO file and launch a virtual machine together with the virtual machine manager, from where we can conveniently follow what's going on in the virtual machines. And as promised on the title, it also has a very simple GTK graphical user interface, which allows us to make the whole installation on a single click. So we can just click in here in the KVM button, and in this case the default option is 2 nodes, the same as in the official install guide. This will install the controller and the first compute node, and it will run everything automatically. And well, in a couple of minutes we will have everything running. This graphical user interface also allows to set some of the variables, some of the most common variables. This is basically the same as opening the configuration file with a normal editor and editing them by hand, but well, that's the point with the graphical interface, that you don't need to access the command line. And it also allows for some further options. For example, this one, the first one, download the packages, download OpenStack packages, will generate a virtual machine to use as a proxy for downloading all the packages locally. So it will download the packages to the virtual machine and then copy them to your laptop or wherever you are running the script. And then next time you recompile the ISO file, these files will be included as a local repository, allowing a completely offline installation or using much less network. Now, another option is just dry run. So just generate the ISO file and then you figure out what to do with it. And in case we attach a pen drive to the computer and it detects it, it also will allow us to generate a bootable pen drive, like so from where we can start the machines. In case somebody is interested on checking the code, this is how it works. So as most of these kind of tools, first of all, it's going to parse the command line arguments. It's going to try to detect the operative system. In this case, well, when I say operative system, I mean like which kind of Linux. It's like I do it in Ubuntu, but it should work also in SUSE and partially in CentOS, but I'm still working on that. It will install the dependencies in case they are not already installed. For example, mk-isofs for rebuilding the ISO file. It will get Ubuntu, or there is also an CentOS option, the ISO file. It will it will recompile it will build the custom ISO file, and for that, first of all, extracts the ISO file. It will it will hack the boot menu, adding the options for each machine. It will generate the kicker start files with the instructions on how to install each machine, and it will recompile everything again with mk isofs. At that point, we already have our customized ISO file, and there are 3 further options. First of all, not doing anything, just keep the ISO file. Second one is to generate a bootable pen drive, which is basically calling DD and copying the image into the device associated to the pen drive, or we can launch the virtual machine as a virtual. We can launch the image as a virtual machine using virt install. But here, so the key of the whole process is in this step here, generate kickstart files. So this is what is going to make the whole trick. The kickstart files are just regular kickstart files where we set the users, the passwords, and the keyboard, and like the regular settings. But in the post-install section, there is, first of all, it's going to copy all the BOMSI files and the scripts together with the configuration files into the target machine. And then it's going to generate an init script which will execute only once after next reboot. This init script contains the following steps. First of all, it will check for internet connectivity in case we are not using a local repository. It will set up network as instructed in the official install guide, so management network and external network. And it will execute the node script. The node script is basically an scripted version of the official install guide, step by step. So, for example, for the case of the controller, it will install the database, the messaging queue, keystone, glance, and so on. And in the end, it will disable the init script so that it does not run again after next reboot, which wouldn't really matter because I try to make the scripts to be idempotent. So even if you run them again, it won't really mess up the system. And well, somebody might be wondering that, well, an OpenStack installer written in bash, isn't that actually what osbash does, osbash from Training Labs? That's very true. Unfortunately, I got to know about osbash a little bit late, but once BOMSI was already built. Actually, once during an IRC meeting, I was bringing up the topic, and well, Edgar Magana told me about the existence of it. So I researched a little bit further, and I ended up joining the project. And well, so these are the both BOMSI and osbash share some common features. They are both fully written in bash. They follow the official install guide step by step, and they can build local virtual environments. But they also have some differences. For example, BOMSI installs the machines from a customized ISO file, which makes it independent. You can just take your ISO file and install it anywhere. It is easier to understand because it has less functionality. This means it has less variables and way less lines of code, so it's much easier to read, and it is faster. It can install the whole thing in a virtual environment in about 16 minutes, including downloading the ISO file. Well, depends on which kind of computer and which kind of internet, but in mine it does. And on the other hand, osbash performs the installation by accessing the virtual machines, the VirtualBox virtual machines, through SSH and executing the commands remotely. It is cross-platform, but this time it is true cross-platform, including Windows and Mac OS, and it is better supported. And well, and before I finish, I want to thank the OpenStack Foundation for granting me with the travel support for key contributors, and my teammates from Training Labs, Roger Luetti and Pranat Salumke, because although our projects could be like a competence to each other, that's the magic of open source. We collaborate, and together we are more. And also, so if you have further questions, don't hesitate on contacting me, either at julen@larrucea.eu or in IRC under the nick Julen or Julenal. Thank you very much.